All right, so now we're recording for everybody who couldn't make it. Well, again, greetings from Rock Hill, South Carolina. The facility here is just amazing. My first time coming to this facility and just to see the infrastructure that they've built. I'll try to take some pictures and video tomorrow, just of some of the things that they've assembled here for this World Championships. But it is truly amazing. I mean, there's a two-story tent that is basically a media room and VIP area, all air conditioned. There is a full-blown, essentially emergency room at the end of the shutdown area down the last straight. I mean, complete with a mobile ER. So this is an absolute incredible race for somebody who's never seen the World Championships or been to a World Championships. It's really quite amazing to see everything that goes into it, and then just all the teams and all the different countries represented, and pretty cool to not only be at another World Championships again, but to be at one in the United States, and of course we'll get the opportunity to do it again in Houston in 2020. So very cool. Long drive to get here, but very cool, and now everybody's kind of settling in and getting their tasks ready to go with their tasks and Team USA. So, all right. So first, I want to talk about this volunteer form. As many of you know, let me pull this up. As many of you know, this is something that we introduced this form. We introduced this form, and it went away. So this form is down here where it says sign up to become a volunteer. So let me kind of move this out of the way, and let me try to, it's not going to let me blow up. Yeah, it is. Look at that. So there is that volunteer form and some of the information that it's going to gather. So of course we've got our first name, last name, phone number, email address, and then just some quick questions about what they're interested in doing, just some suggestions. And of course, they can put in the comments what they'd like to do. If it's not something here, we ask them if they're qualified to administer first aid. It's always good to know, if you've had somebody that has a first aid certification there. And then, of course, this was kind of added after the debacle with people getting frustrated with this form, blocking their view of what the content that was on the page underneath. And in particular, that was a problem more often than not with mobile devices. A number of people are pulling up, your microsites and stuff on their phones. And so this form was kind of standing in their way. So, and if somebody has heard otherwise, but I know that on my iPhone and on my Amazon tablet, my Fire, I cannot get that form to come up any longer on mobile devices. So that was one of the things that we had the web programmers do, is basically sense that it's a mobile device and then suppress the form. The other thing that we did was this had a hide form link up here. Now this whole bar will hide the form. I can get it back by clicking on that bar, but we added a hide form down here. So if somehow this form got popped up and it was blocking your screen, and what was happening basically to the mobile users was like they get in here where the form's so big and they couldn't scroll up. See how I can't scroll up? I can scroll the page, but I can't scroll the form because the form's too big. So that was happening to the mobile users. So without the ability to get here and hide the form, there was no way to hide it. So they were putting in garbage and hitting sign up just so it would go away. Well, now we've done two things. Number one, or a bunch of things actually. Number one, you can still click here to hide the form. We've got a hide form button that will hide the form, right? And the other thing is we're suppressing it now on mobile devices. So that is what the front end of that volunteer form looks like. And again, for somebody that goes to your website for the first time, they're basically going to see this, and this little sign up to become a volunteer thing is going to hide out down here until they click on it, and then we can engage them. On the back end, if you are a track operator, and let me go back to volunteers. So I'm logged in right now into my good friend Roland's track, Whittier Narrows BMX in El Monte, California. And so he's got a couple of people that have filled out this volunteer form. So, of course, we've got creation dates when they filled out the form. Then we can drill into those things and look at the info that they submitted. So here's this guy's first and last name, his phone, his email address. He cannot administer first aid, but he's really interested in doing marketing and promotions and maybe being a track official, right? So he says, hey, I can assist with web-related media and other track technical web aspects. So certainly sounds like one of these web guys, right? So this might be somebody that, you know, if Roland, and let me just check and see what Roland's, there is the Whittier Narrows. Okay, so we could have some, you know, we could have some more current news on here. So the last news thing was May 15th, and you know, certainly a lot of social media because that just ties into the Facebook feed. You know, this logo, the white. Well, I'll fix that for him. But you know, there's some things here that if this guy is pretty good at design work and web, you know, he can take this logo, knock this white background out of there, put a white glow on it. I've done that for countless tracks that if anytime I see this box logo, I go in and fix it up. So this comments field was really to get a feel for what they're good at, and you know, you just want to find a way for people to help you. You know, BA around the office is fond of the term. He uses the term FOTSI. Find a way to say yes. FOTSI, right? So, you know, if you got somebody who wants to do something like this, find a way to say yes. So let's go back to the volunteers. We'll look at this. So this guy, Charles, I'm assuming, maybe he missed the R, but he fancies himself a scorer, starter, and signups. And then, of course, so this is the volunteers on your side. You can export the volunteers. So this little export volunteers button. This export volunteers button is a button that you can press, and what it will do is it will download this as a CSV file. So you can hold on. Yep. Okay. So now it downloads this as a CSV, and you can see anything that was in that file is downloaded here. So as a track operator, you can go in and just download. Again, hit this export volunteers button. It downloads it as a CSV file, so you can get all your volunteers. There's also a way for you to go in here and mark them as active or inactive. A reason you might want to do that, well, if I know that this person's kid is no longer racing, they're not coming out, you know, and they really don't want me to be bothering them saying, hey, man, you know, we really need somebody to be a gate starter tonight. If I know he's kind of drifted out of the sport, I don't want to delete him, but let me just go ahead and flag him as inactive. So then when I go back to my volunteers, I've got my active ones, and anybody that's no longer actively volunteering, I still have their contact info, which is great, any notes that I had on them, but I can flag them as inactive. Let me flag him as inactive real quick and show that, but I'll flag him as inactive. There he is, inactive. Any notes that I would have put in. So operator notes, these are notes that only you as the track operator can see. Well, you and USA BMX, so I'll put him back as active. For us, on the admin side, if let me find where I just had it. There we go, BMX track volunteers. So there's all the volunteers that have signed up, and really it's putting them in created. So you know, so far today we've had 3 of them, and we can click on these and see, okay, this is Blanchard Woods BMX. We've got somebody starter and staging back of the hill. For Joy, she can administer first aid, which is great. And so for us on the admin side, we can put admin notes. which might be, something that maybe Bill Morris and Chris Luna utilize. Like, hey, this lady is awesome at staging in Back of the Hill, has worked a Grands before or whatever, right? And have this checkbox on whether they've worked a national event. So now we know that, oh, wow, this is somebody who, if we're going for a national in a certain area and, we had somebody pull out of a position, we can quickly search for those people and find people that have worked nationals. So this volunteer tool was not only a tool designed to help the tracks by letting people sign up to become volunteers at the track, but also a usable tool for, and again, there's kind of the track admin side when you're logged in as your dashboard. So I can go into any track and see, who's got some volunteers that have signed up, and not everybody has had volunteers sign up. So, but we do have people adding more volunteers day in and day out. So that is the volunteer form. Let me go find my notes thing real quick. Sorry about that. All right. Yeah, and that's a good point with Mandy. So Mandy wanted me to mention that a couple of things. Number one, the Facebook group. So a lot of you asking for me to, hey, can you have a Facebook group? And we want a different group where we're not going to get stuff and whatever. So we made a Facebook group. Sarge still has his BMX track operators group. Still a lot of good, legacy content on there. There is a ton of posts on there, and good archival stuff. But I did make a Facebook group, and I'll go show that real quick. But I made it a private group, and the reason I made it a private group was because I was getting too many requests from people that didn't have anything to do with BMX, and so this is now the track group that I created in Facebook. And but to become a member, I either need to you can email me, and I can add you based on your email address. So I can type in your email address here and add you. Or if I'm friends with you, it's very easy for me to add somebody who's a friend. But a lot of you, if I'm not friends with you on Facebook, then you either need to request to become a member of the group. So there's somebody requesting to become a member of the group. Now, if this person isn't a track operator, then what I've got to do is go message them and find what track they're affiliated with and verify with the track operator that he's okay with that person being in the group. But it is now a secret group, so it's not going to be easy for you to find. But I've now made all of my other track directors, Mandy, Tyson, Bill Curtin, Cody, Connie, everybody's in there. Everybody has the ability to add you into that track operators group once they verify that you're the track operator, or the track operator's fine with you being in the group on behalf of the track. So jump in there and we'll keep getting good content in here as well. So there is that track operator group, and again, it's USA BMX/BMX Canada track operator group, kind of the quote-unquote official, at least it's got all of my track directors in it, group to ask questions and everything. And again, hopefully with more of the track directors in there, I don't think any of them are going to monitor as much as I did, it kind of being my baby, but that's okay. They can add people, approve people, and it'll be a good thing. The other thing that she wanted to mention, and it's worth noting, is critical impact. So there was actually a post in the track operators group about critical impact, and so critical impact is what has replaced constant contact. Now, I did find some problems with some people that had an email address that was both a track operator email address and it was the email address on record for one of your riders. I have had problems where, and Marty might be one of those people. So you can see here, he's a member of membership, which is the membership list, probably a function of probably a function of one of his kids having that email address as the email address on record, but he's also a member of BMX Canada Track Operators. Now, if for some reason you are not getting these emails that I've been sending out, just email me and I can check. And so Marty had emailed me and said, hey, I didn't get any of these emails. Well, I did send all of those emails. And of course, even the activity log will go through and let me know when those emails were opened. I think with this one, kind of the lesson I learned with this particular one was the email didn't come through and say webinar, right? It said, don't forget to schedule your Race for Life Bob Warnicki Scholarship Race. Embedded in there was this webinar. So I think that kind of attributed to not everybody knowing about this webinar, but that's fine. We'll get this posted and everybody. So back to this email thing. This email program that we've got is, to quote John David, phenomenal. And it allows me to do some things that are really pretty cool. So for example, Billerica Coach email. So if I come in here, I'm able to dynamically build lists. So Justin Travis wanted to send out an email looking for somebody to become a certified coach for Billerica BMX, right? So we hit the membership list and we said, hit the membership list where they live in Mass, their proficiency is either expert, A pro, or intermediate, and their zip code is within 30 miles of this zip code. So it allows me to import all of that membership information. So we're talking about importing somebody's, city, state, zip, their proficiency, what track they credit their membership, the date of their last race, the date that they moved up, their birth date to send them a birthday card. All of this information for our membership is being uploaded into this membership list. And because of that, I can put together some very sophisticated queries. So, if you're a track that wants to do an email blast and you want to hit, riders that are within 200 miles of your track, it's no longer hey, I want to send it to this state, and this state. We can actually target by zip codes now. So we can do some pretty cool things. In terms of the actual messages, we can do some pretty cool things there too. So we've got this email going out about Woodland BMX and Falcon BMX having a 400-point weekend coming up with 2 awesome SCRs at 2 great tracks this weekend, right? It's this Saturday. So there is the email that we made up. Looks great on mobile. And again, we can target, we can target the list for this. I think New England Riders was the targeted list. So I said send it to membership where the state is in Vermont, Rhode Island, Mass, Connecticut, New Hampshire, and Maine, right? So we can put together build queries just like we'd build in a database program, and it allows us some tremendous flexibility. So it is a really great email program. So, and you can see more emails getting queued up and ready to go. So we're really excited about this new Critical Impact program, email program, and everything that we're going to be able to do with it. All right. Any questions? Any questions on the volunteer forum / Critical Impact or the Facebook group? No? All right. Well, we'll move on. I didn't think this was going to be a very long webinar, but I know a lot of you probably tuned on for this last part, which is this Torf Wizard. So what I've done here is I've got a test race kind of set up here, and I've pulled some. There's my race entries. Where are my race entries? That's curious. There's my moto board. All right. Sorry about that. I was getting a text from a track. All right, so I've built this race, and I've gone in and scored this race. Now, one of the things about this new torf thing is that in order to access this torf functionality for it to automatically build up your torf and process it for you, if you're not a track that is scoring your races after the race is over, you're going to have to become a track that is scoring your races from start to finish afterwards. Now, just so I can go through and kind of show how this works, let me just go in here and let me take out these scores for at least this class. Now, most of you, if you're not going to be scoring like we score at a national. You're not going to be running sheets right after they're done into somebody who's going to score them as the race is running, right? So you're going to be doing what we like to refer to as after race scoring. So this little checkbox down here that says after race scoring, when you turn that on, it basically knows that the qualifiers in this 4-rider class are a 1-2 to main, right? So it's looking for 1 rider, and then it moves me over to Moto 2, and it's looking for 2 riders. So I'm going to score those 2 riders. Now I can click back over to mains, and again, I've already scored the rest of the race, but if I come in here now and say, okay, here's my, 3, 2, 1, now it's scored. If I don't score the main event, I've scored the motos, I know who's in the main event, but I don't score the main event, and I come up here to the reports menu and I go to Torf, it's going to come in here and say, welcome to the Torf Creation Wizard. Right? So I'm going to come in here and you can see I've already put in a head official, but if I don't have a head official in there and I save this, it's not gonna like that, right? So now I back up, I go in here, there's my head official again. So it won't let me move on until I have a head official. So I have to hit edit and I add my head official. Once I add my head official, if I had any injuries whatsoever, I can log these injuries. So for argument's sake, let's just say that Angela she was in there, Potskin, yeah, there we go. So I saw her in that first moto. So I'm going to come in and say, you know what, I'm going to select this rider, the injury type, bruised elbow, fell in last turn in main. And I'm going to check that it happened in the turn. So now I've come in and I've hit edit to get into this screen. I've said, hey, Chris Luna is my head official at this race. I had 1 injury. It's Angela. She bruised her elbow. She fell in the last turn. And I put the description of where it's at in the track. If I need to add another one, I can add another rider. Okay. Delete that rider, yeah. So you see the plus and minus here. Adds new rider, deletes rider, right? And then we save it. So we save it. We've got our head official. We try to move on. So now we come in here and step 2, verification of scored races. So if we can't read what this says, let me see if I can. Am I able to? It's not going to let me. Okay. So what this says, race details, the head official and race cancellation status and any injuries that occurred during the race are reported here by hitting edit. Click on the edit to add, modify the detailed. It is going to let me. It just didn't do it right away, did it? Well, that's kind of zooming a little too much, isn't it? So that's where I can go in and click, and that's a little annoying. All right. Where we add that data. All right, so I'll hit next. Now, step 2 says verification of scored races. During this step, any pointed races that have not been scored will be identified. So you can see that this little need scored is checked. If I want to know what classes need score, I can click this plus and it tells me 36 to 40 women's cruiser has 3 riders that weren't scored, right? So it's not going to let me hit next. You see, all I can do is exit or go back. So I'm going to exit. I'm going to go back into this class and I'm going to go into main and I'm going to say, you know what? This person got second and first and I'll exit again. And again, if I go in here and try to go through this TORF process, now it should come up and say, hey, you still got one rider. So I'm going to hit next. I've already logged my injuries. So it's still saying, hey, Brad, you still have one unscored rider in 3640. So it's not going to let you move through this process unless you completely score your race, including the main events. Right? So let me go ahead and score this race. Now my race is fully scored. So again, I'm going to the reports menu, TORF, welcome to the TORF creation wizard. And again, in here, we've already identified Chris Luna. We've said Angela is the rider who got injured. She bruised her elbow, fell in the last turn. We've indicated that it's in the last turn. We hit next. Now, I don't see any errors on needs scored. I can hit next. Next is enabled. So now, here is my TORF. Race fees and membership fees, $252. Now, let's hit review TORF. Well, first, let's go see why the fees are that much, right? So let's hit review TORF. So what review TORF does is it's basically going to show me a draft view of what it's prepared for you. So this is now a couple of pages, 4 pages. I think at a minimum it's going to be 4 pages. But again, you're not printing typically. You're going to send these in as a PDF file. So we've got the test event. We've said that this was I believe Curtin put this in as a state championship race, triple pointer, like it was the number 2 track in the state. So at 126 riders, the insurance, because it was a state race, was 126. The dollar per rider was 126. So you see 252 there. There were no memberships sold. So now let's go back in and we'll play around with this race a little bit. So that's that page. So we kind of see that we've got a summary page is page 1. We go to page 2 and we go into the race fee detail fees, right? So this starts to break down what this was. So it says, okay, there was no sanction fee, but the insurance is 126, the surcharge is 126, the total is this, right? It's got the moto count, who the head official was. It's got your schedule of fees right down here. We move down to page 3. Page 3 is the practice participants, right? So anybody that was at that race and didn't end up racing but ended up getting out on the track, they'd be practice participants. They'd be listed here. And then, of course, page 4 is the race injuries. So all of those are kind of separated into different pages. That's why it created 4 separate pages, right? Each page with its own kind of header information about what's on that page. So again, summary, race detail, summary over here, race details over here, practice participants that won't be on the moto sheets but were on the track for insurance reasons, risk, right? And of course, the riders that were injured is right there. So now let's exit out of this. So now we're going to go back in to the event setup and we're going to say, you know what? This really wasn't a state race. This is just a normal single point race. And let me save this race. Now I've still scored it and everything, so I'm going to go back into the TORF. I've got my head official and my injuries. I've scored it all. Now it's an $80 race, right? So I had, this is a U.S. race, so I have an insurance cap of 60, sanction is 20. We hit review TORF. We're going to see the same thing, just the dollar amounts changed, right? So let's exit this. So now let's go in and we'll do some memberships now on this race. So now let's go back into registration and we're going to say, I'm going to hit add new and say, So membership type. Well, so we're going to do a 1 day here. So we're going to add that member. So we're good there. And let's sell a brand new membership to his brother. So we did that member. All right, so now we've got a 1 day, we've got a membership. Hold on 1 second. I've got a track texting me that's in dire need of numbers. All right, so now here's my test race. We've got our head official. We've scored the race. We're all good there. Ooh, let me go back, review this Torf. This is interesting. I wonder if because it didn't print the applications, it canceled the transactions. What was his brother? Bob. $720. So we'll go back into the Torf. Let me see if it's... Why we're not adding him in there. I know that this has worked. I wonder if it's because I didn't put these guys in the race, but that really can't be doing that. So let's say I had practice for him. So there he is on my practice Torf. Okay, well, let's do another one. So Gilbert, Arizona, membership type. So we'll say she's secondary. Add member. So there she is. So that's the app. So we're good there. We'll register. We're in the 10 novice class. We'll check out. So we're $65 there. So I'm wondering, and I'll figure this out here real quick. If I go in and refresh this, now I've got 127 and I rate my motos. I'm going to need to score this again, but I'm wondering if that's what's going to add. So if you score it, fire off any questions if you have any while I'm getting us caught back up here so I can make sure that that is the issue. So again, we're still kind of beta testing this thing, but we'll get it all sorted out here one way or another, whether it does the apps. And the good news is I believe my programmer gets here in the next day or two, so we will get him looking at this while he's here at the Worlds. All right. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's a 9-rider class. So as you can see, scoring the race after the fact, you're just basically looking at your moto sheets and doing a digital version of those moto sheets. So it's not difficult at all. You can see the total point rounds because I scored through Moto 3. It's already scoring it for me. So this had to be a 4-rider class because there's no scores there. There's a total point class that's already scored, another 4-rider class, their total point class. And again, so if you're a track that's already scoring your races, I mean, you're already doing all of this. It's the tracks that aren't scoring their races now, that you're going to spend a little bit, but I think you're going to find you're going to get very fast at doing this. And you're not going to mind this at all. Plus, the good news about scoring like this is once I'm done with this, I can throw those results up on my microsite, which is something to me that all of the tracks should be doing anyways. Okay, so now we're scored. Now I've prepared that race again. I've gone and scored it. Now let's see if it didn't give me those memberships. And if it did, that's great. But, okay, so we've still got our head official. We still have that. So that's interesting. Okay. Even though I've re-prepared it. So we've got that. And we're still at $80. And I think the reason that is because I started doing this Torf Creation Wizard before I sold those memberships. And then rerun the wizard. So I've done that, though. I've rerun the wizard. So I'm starting to rerun the wizard again. So that's something I'm going to have to get Jeff to look at, because the problem with that is this: if you run a race, and as I just did, and then somebody comes up and says, "Hey, I did a 1-day, but now I want to buy a membership tonight." Right? We had a great time. You're getting ready to close down. They want to buy a membership before they get back in their car, and you sell them that membership. You've got to have a way to include that on the tour. If you still sold it that night, even though technically you didn't do it before the race began. So that certainly appears to be a bug, but we'll get that. So now we move to step 4, the certification. So to certify the Torf, this is basically like a digital signature, right? So I'm going to come in here and type my name, Brad Hallen, and I'm going to say Certify Torf. Now I've certified my Torf, and now I can print my certified Torf. And there it is. And where? Yeah, right here. Signature of track operator Brad Hallen and the date that it was signed, right? So whatever you're typing here is basically like your digital signature. You're digitally signing this thing. Um, if you had to make any payment adjustments, we can do a reason for payment adjustment. So it's already been printed and certified. So you can review it. And so once you certify it, you're basically saying this thing is done, right? So um, the one thing you did see, let me go set up another event real quick. I'm going to set up a new race for tomorrow. Test event 2. All right, so let's sign up old Bob. Okay. There we go. So we'll put him in that event. And Ashley is right there. And put myself in that race. All right, so now I've got 3 riders in that event. Test race 2, 3 riders. I'll write the motos. There's my class. So now I'll go into my Torf Wizard. Interesting. So we've got because it's not because I'm doing it for the event. I'm gonna close the event. So as you can see, hence the beta testing that we're doing on this thing and rolling it out to a few tracks, trying to figure out what all these little bugs are, ways that it expects you to do things, and if you don't do things in those ways, it's going to throw errors. And we're trying to get all that stuff vetted before we push it out and have a whole bunch of tracks that are running into these errors. Bob Smith. All right, Bob, let's get you in there. Boom. Ashley Smith. Put me in there, and then let's sell a membership and maybe a 1-day and see if we can get all that stuff on there. All right, so we'll add new. All right, so we're going to do a 1-day here. $20. Put them in. And we'll do another primary. Okay, so get that rider in there. Have a quick peek at our moto board. We got 5 motos. Great, we'll write those motos. We'll score it real quick. I should be able to beat those kids. I wasn't in, and so by the way, I wasn't in after race scoring, so let's go back because you saw how it didn't jump and I had to click over. So if you're in after race scoring and I come in here in Moto 1 and I say, yeah, me and the 19-year-old got out, it automatically shifts you over to day 2, or round 2. So now we go into mains, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exit this. We'll go score, or go do our TWRF. So again, here we go. I cannot click next until I go in and edit this. So I'll go edit this and say, okay, we had Chris Luna as my head official. If there were any injuries tonight, there were no injuries, so we'll just go ahead and save this. Click next. All of my races are scored, otherwise needs scored would be checked. I've got a next button so I can click next. And it is not picking up membership sales on my version. I don't know what's going on. Well, I'll find that out because I know that this was working in another test version. I must not have gotten all the scripts installed on mine. So right now, this is something that Bill Curtin for the beta testers is having to manually install and try to run a lot of these scripts. Once we feel comfortable that it's doing everything that it's doing, it'll be packaged up into an installable version of the program, and might come with a database update as well. So if we can get the beta testing done in the next 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, I'd like to ideally be releasing this maybe mid-August. If you're a track that is going to be hosting a state final or a provincial final, I might wait until after I got through that big race just in case. It actually goes for any major event. I know that I had a track that was going to be hosting a Gold Cup qualifier and wanted to wait until after she got through the Gold Cup qualifier to make the upgrade, and that is a very, very smart move. You know the program that you have now works, and of course this is just the TWRF that's not functioning properly, but we do need it to be perfect for you guys. So that is that online TWRF, and like I said, it's taken a lot of months of trial and error to get to this point with it, but we're very, very close now, and once this thing gets done, and to circle back, one of the reasons why you have to score this race is kind of in preparation for phase 2 of this project, which is going to be, not only automating the TWRF, but we wanted to basically grab your race data and bundle your race data in a package that gets pushed up to a server, and then we can download your TWRF data and download your race data, and we can begin to eliminate the data entry, the 10 keying of 11,000 BMX races that happen at the over 300 tracks that we sanction. I can tell you, I've got, some pretty good carpal tunnel from 10 years in the membership department, and then of course still years on the computer and doing programming and whatever else, right? So That's a ton of data entry. And if we can eliminate that and start having you export your races after you've scored them and us import them into our system, man, we'll be able to turn races around on our website very, very quickly, and that'll make the riders very, very happy. All right, let's see what we got for questions right now. And kind of minimize this. We'll exit out of that. All right. It will save us from scoring and then scanning. Yeah, I mean, it'll save you from you'll be scoring your race, which if you're not doing that now, that is going to be a new thing. Certainly will save you from scanning your TORF, because you'll basically just be printing out your TORF as a PDF. You can print it right to a PDF file, and then you'll just be attaching that PDF file along with the scan. Currently, the scans of your moto sheets. Again, the end game with the motos is that I'll get a digital file along with a scanned copy of your moto sheets, but that digital file will be used to basically import into our system, and that's when we'll really be making some headway. And yeah, Ronnie, you're absolutely right. In the end, the game is for everything to be sent electronically, including membership info. And so that's the direction you see us moving to, because obviously at the end of the day, that's efficiency. It's efficiency, and then our people in the office go from being data entry people to more data analysis. They're importing the files and then looking for any anomalies, any mistakes, anything that's out of the ordinary that they need to dig deeper into. Do I think there will be a day when we don't have to send the score sheets to you? That's a good question. Right. Obviously, electronic copies are all we're getting right now from a lot of tracks. We're not getting the originals, and I think that day can come. I think right now it's a process of streamlining the digital process, and we've just survived for so long doing things the way we've done them, and we've always known that the way we've done things, and look, you're going to see it this weekend at the World Championships, right? So we've got 2 redundant Finish Links cameras. Now those camera systems are $20,000 a piece. There are going to be 2 of them set up at the finish line to score all of the challenge classes, all of the amateur riders. But in addition to that, we are still putting our very best scorer that we have. Jennifer Morris is going to be right on the line, as she is at every one of our nationals. Now, she's there because if somehow that whole electronic $40,000 worth of camera, not to mention all the money in the computer systems and whatnot that are behind the cameras, if all of that goes to pieces, we know that Jen is the best in the business and the race will go on, right? So we sometimes cling on to that stuff for too long. So, I mean, we're certainly trying to push the envelope electronics-wise, but yet, you have to do 2 things. You have to, number one, think of the tracks that – there are a lot of tracks out there that have high-speed internet right at their track. I've got tracks now that have, security camera systems that if it detects movement, the track operators. I saw that in Langley BMX, just unbelievable. I mean, the facility improvements that they've done there, their snack bar, but they've got one of the systems from Sarge, like we use in Canada, like we've got in the truck here. That's a full-blown server system, but they've also got full-blown camera systems. They've got super high-speed internet. I mean, it's unbelievable. But not every track is like that, right? So you've got to. So Jeff, I've told Jeff, part of this TORF process, and even when we get to the electronically packaging the motos into an XML file or some other file type to get uploaded, you've got to be able to make that into a package that somebody can put onto like a USB thumb drive and take home where they do have internet, because you have tracks that simply don't have internet at their facility, and some tracks you don't even have a cell signal, right? So, but look, scoring electronically, yeah, scoring electronically is in the future. Look, it's. I was in Guatemala City, Guatemala, about 3 weeks ago, and when I was done with the results there, I submit the results electronically via a web interface. It imports them. If it detects any errors, it basically kicks out the errors and rejects the file until I fix the errors. If somebody's UCI code is wrong, if I've got the wrong country code, if I haven't properly spelled their name in the Excel file that I uploaded, it'll try to match their name to their UCI ID, like their serial number, what we call a serial number, and it'll kick it back. So can we do that stuff? Yeah, we can do that stuff. UCI is doing that stuff, and in a lot of ways, UCI is catching up to where we're at technology wise by finally getting to a database driven system. So we'll get there. We'll get there. Yeah. So that's why. So Tony asked a great question, and it's, is there a way to exclude a membership transaction? So there. Let me go through and see if I can try to get this again. But so in this Torf wizard, now it didn't have any of anything in here, right? So if there were any race fees and membership fees, right? Track payment adjustment. So let's say that I had to click add new for whatever reason, or I had to do something. I had to, I accidentally clicked renew, but I really didn't mean to. I just wanted to reprint the app. So I'm really not renewing the membership. But I accidentally hit the button. So now, and I need to back it out. So I might come in here and say, hey, I'm going to subtract $60. Now, the minute you make an adjustment, it comes in and says, why are you making it? You give me the reason why you're making this payment adjustment. And that's where you're going to type in here, accidentally clicked renew, rider renewed online, right? So that essentially is what you're asking, Tony, I think. And so you can't really exclude a membership transaction, but what you can do is you can back it out financially on the payment details page. You just need to give a reason for that adjustment. And obviously, if that reason isn't good enough for accounting, you expect a phone call from Riva or somebody in the accounting department. But yeah, and then so you hit next, and then when we review the TORF, there you see there's the track payment adjustment, and then accidentally click renew. It's got the reason for the payment adjustment on there, right? So hopefully that answers the question. Let's see. So all right, any other questions about this? So again, this the Torf thing, my timeline with this is, this race is done and over with, and I'll be back in the office, August 2nd, maybe 1st or 2nd, whatever that, probably Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday. And I'd like to, within 2 weeks after that, I'd like to, by mid-August, be rolling it out to tracks that are ready to try to upgrade to this thing. And again, I would only caution tracks that, have a big state final weekend. Never upgrade your program right before you're going to go host a huge event like that. You just don't like to change the system. Get through your state final, and then go ahead and do it. And all right, guys, if there's no other questions, I'm gonna shut this 18-wheeler down and find my way over to my hotel and go get some dinner. If any of you are coming to the Worlds, have a safe drive here. Be safe on the roads out there, and I'll see you guys when you get here. Oh, hold on, Marty. Let me see what you're. Yep, can do. All right, guys. Thank you much.